There's something deeply unsettling about small towns. And I don't mean little hallmark towns with pumpkin patches and cafes and everybody knows each other's name type of town. I mean the kind of towns where the streets go silent after a certain time, where forests stretch for miles and miles and miles, and the kind of places people grow up hearing stories they're told never to repeat after midnight. Because for some reason, some of the darkest urban legends always seem to come from these small towns. Some of these stories are 100 years old, some of these stories are internet legends, and some just simply make my skin crawl. So turn off your lights, get comfortable, and let's get uncomfortable. The more I researched the story, the more disturbing it became. Back in the early 1800s, in a tiny town of Adams, Tennessee, the Bell family lived on a quiet farm surrounded by dense woods and open fields. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but according to the legend, strange things started happening shortly after John Bell, the father of the family, claimed he saw a strange creature sitting in his cornfield one evening. Some versions of the story describe it as a large black animal with the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit, which already sounds terrifying enough. But after that sighting, things inside the Bell household allegedly became a nightmare. The family started hearing scratching noises coming from inside the walls late at night. Knocking sounds echoed through the house when nobody was outside. Chains dragging across the floorboards, whispers in empty rooms, heavy breathing in the darkness. And honestly, I think the reason this legend disturbs people so much is because it's not a stereotypical dramatic horror movie visual. It's subtle. Imagine trying to sleep at night. No electricity, no way to explain what's happening. Just silence and whatever it is making that noise. But according to the legend, things started getting even worse when the Bell children started experiencing physical attacks. Their daughter Betsy Bell claimed her hair would be violently pulled while she slept. People reported hearing slapping sounds coming from her bedroom at night. Blankets would supposedly get ripped off of beds by invisible hands. And eventually, the entity began speaking, which is the part that unsettles me the most. Spirit allegedly identified itself as Kate, and witnesses claimed it could mimic voices perfectly, even hold full conversations with people who were in the home. And this wasn't just one family that was experiencing these hauntings. Neighbors, visitors, and even local officials supposedly came to witness the phenomena themselves. And because this happened in a small town, fear and word spread fast. That's another thing that makes small town legends even more terrifying. The Bell family believed the entity poisoned John Bell himself. Before he died, witnesses claimed he became weak, paranoid, and terrified of whatever was haunting the family. And after his death, a mysterious vial of liquid was allegedly found hidden in the house. Some versions of the legend claim the entity admitted to poisoning him. Now, obviously, there are people who believe that this story is exaggerated and maybe even fabricated. And honestly, that's a logical explanation. But this legend is still so deeply rooted in Adams, Tennessee today. And whether this haunting was real or not, the fear surrounding it became real enough to survive for over 200 years, which honestly might be the creepiest part of all. This next legend really makes my skin crawl, and I'm careful talking about it for a few reasons. And that legend is the Wendigo. Now, before I talk about this, I want to be respectful because this legend comes from indigenous folklore, but even outside of the supernatural part of the story, the psychological part of the story is even more terrifying. The Wendigo is often described as a creature connected to greed, starvation, isolation, and losing your humanity. And the physical descriptions are terrifying. People describe it as impossibly tall and skeletal, with sunken eyes, long limbs, rotting skin, and an overwhelming presence of dread surrounding it. Some stories say it mimics voices in the woods. Others claim it stalks people from deep within forests during winter storms. Which, if you've ever been outside in the woods and you get that feeling that someone or something is watching you, you're usually right. What makes the Wendigo legend so terrifying is that it's rooted in real human fears. Imagine living hundreds of years ago during the winter. No modern heating, no emergency services, no way to call for help, just darkness, freezing temperatures, and miles of forest surrounding your home. And slowly, stories begin to spread about something in those woods. Even now, people online constantly talk about these mimics and these Wendigos outside, and they catch them on video. People hiking alone feel watched. Hunters talk about a sudden, overwhelming feeling. Campers hear noises they can't explain, and oftentimes, it all gets posted to the internet. And no matter how logical we try to be as humans, forests still trigger something primal in us, which makes legends like this hard to shake off. The next urban legend feels like pure nightmare fuel. Because unlike ancient folklore or haunted houses, this one feels modern. Too modern. The black-eyed children. The encounters almost begin the same way. Someone is alone at night, usually driving, sitting in their car, or home alone during bad weather. And suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Children. At first, they seem normal, maybe a little pale, maybe awkward, maybe slightly off. Witnesses almost always describe this immediate, overwhelming sense of dread the second they see them. And then they notice the eyes. Completely black. No whites, no pupils, nothing. Just solid black staring back at them. And according to the stories, these children usually ask to be let inside. They say things like, "We need help. Can we use your phone? Please let us in." It's always quiet, awkward, and uncomfortable. Like something trying very hard to pretend or act as if they're human. People who have claimed to witness these children say that they felt nauseous afterwards. Some say their electronics had stopped working. Some have reported hearing emotionless, monotone voices. And after this encounter, the fear is so intense that people typically lock their doors, drive away, or refuse to speak to the children. Which, yeah, I would too. Now, obviously, there's no actual evidence that these black-eyed children exist. Children are supposed to feel safe. So when something takes that image and makes it wrong, your brain reacts immediately. And now imagine you hear a knock at your door at 2 a.m. You look through the peephole and there's a child standing there in complete silence. Absolutely not. Now this one I remember hearing about way back when I was a kid, and it was actually from a Ghost Adventures episode where they visited this location. Ever since I watched that episode, I've never forgotten about it. I mean, sometimes you watch episodes of certain shows and you forget they existed, or you forget that you watched them, but this one I've remembered all these years. So let's talk about it. There's an abandoned bridge in the middle of nowhere known as Goatman's Bridge. The real name of the bridge is Old Alton Bridge, and according to local legend, a goat farmer once lived nearby in the early 1900s. People in the town supposedly called him the Goat Man because he raised goats and sold meat to the local community. But according to the legend, members of the Ku Klux Klan murdered him by hanging him from the bridge. And when they looked over the side afterward, his body was gone. After that, locals claimed strange things started happening around the bridge. People reported hearing growling noises in the woods. Others claimed to see glowing figures standing near the trees at night. Some said they felt physically sick crossing the bridge after dark. And eventually, the legend evolved into stories about half man, half-goat creature haunting the area. Which honestly sounds ridiculous at first, right? Until you actually see the bridge, because this place looks horrifying. People started filming overnight challenges there, ghost hunting videos, and urban exploration videos as well. And fear changes environments, and suddenly your own imagination becomes the scariest thing there. The final legend I want to talk about is one that hits close to home. One of the creepiest legends I've ever come across was the story of the headless nun near French Fort Cove in New Brunswick. According to local legend, people wandering near the woods late at night began reporting sightings of a woman dressed as a nun carrying her own severed head, which is already nightmare fuel. Some versions of the story claim she was murdered, others say she was attacked while traveling through the area, and some believe she wanders the forest searching for the person responsible for her death. Locals claim people hear screams echoing through the woods late at night. Others describe seeing shadowy figures moving between trees, and apparently many people refuse to walk certain trails there after dark. And honestly, forest legends to me are much scarier than haunted house hauntings. Let me explain. Because in a house, at least there's an exit. Forests feel endless, especially at night. And I think that's why so many urban legends evolve in the forest. After researching all these legends, I realized something. The scariest urban legends aren't filled with gore or violence. It's the stories rooted in isolation. Because even if these stories aren't real, the fear they create absolutely is. Anyways, if you guys want a part 2, please let me know. Trust me when I say I found even more disturbing legends while researching these. But for now, I think that's enough internet for tonight. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.